Hello. Hi, my name is Silke Schäfer, coming from Switzerland. I stay here until Friday.
530,
Fine.
fifth floor. You get
Fifth
this
floor.
elevator here.
Yes.
When you get out from the elevator, it's on the left.
Thank you. Es ist natürlich schon toll, wenn ich hier so als Astrologin unter so vielen Businessfrauen und Männern sprechen darf. Und Kristin, die CEO dieser WIN-Konferenz, hat mich ja vor 10 Jahren, 2011, das erste Mal eingeladen hier nach Rom. Und das war damals schon sehr aufregend, kann man sagen, weil es war eine komplett andere Zeit. Und Kristin als Visionärin wollte unbedingt das Thema der Astrologie einbringen. Und das ist natürlich, ich würde mal sagen, für jeden von uns, der die Astrologie vorwärts bringen möchte, im Sinne von neue Astrologie, nicht mehr das alte Paradigma, ist das natürlich eine große Ehre, hier sein zu dürfen. Kristin, hey! I'm so happy that you invited me. Thank you so much.
You want to come? Yes, I'm booking my flight. I booked it.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And this is Björn, you see. He's the very best cameraman in the world.
I can imagine.
Thank you so much.
This conference is an experience, and I try to make this an experience that prepares everybody who is part of it for the future. So I put together many different people because to exercise this capacity to think in different ways is so important. So the WIN conference actually is also this experience. You go through 3 different ways, maybe days where you hear from a CEO of a company, you hear from an astrologer, historian, psychologist, many different types of people. And also, because we are talking a lot about preparing yourself for the future, I'd heard Silke, I heard about her through another friend, and I was particularly wanting to invite people who have this sense of the future, futurists. And I think also when I first met Silke, she used that maybe in her title also, futurist astrologist and things. So I thought whatever can help us give a direction of the future and a sense of it would be important. And then also when I heard of Silke, I had this feeling too that she was right. So, and I operate very much on intuition. So when I get a feeling about somebody, like it's popularly called a hunch, but let's say I get goosebumps or I get a very strong feeling, this person needs to be here, then I invite the person.
So this is what I have on you. A former professional photographer, she is the best-selling author and one of the most influential astrologers in the German-speaking world.
Yes, I can say that, yeah.
You're into astrology too?
Yeah.
So she has, on YouTube, she has her own channel that reaches millions of people every week.
Not every week.
Okay.
No, it's too
It
much.
sounded great.
Yes, it sounds
But
good.
it will be the future. we put it in the pathway into the future. But meanwhile, I don't say that.
Oh.
Yes.
Do we
Yes.
check?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
Others?
We'll keep it on the whole time, or they will put it on when I'm on stage.
Then you go on stage, we will start. So
Okay.
then we connect you, so
Yeah.
we know who you are.
Diese Konferenz hier in Rom ist diesmal anders als sonst. Wir haben natürlich jetzt die Mikrobenkrise dazwischen gehabt, sodass viele Leute online sind. Und deswegen ist auch die Stimmung im Saal diesmal auch wieder ganz anders als sonst, weil wenn 1000 Leute da sind oder wenn vielleicht 200 da sind, das ist ein anderes familiäres Gefühl jetzt. Und so ins Feld sprechen zu dürfen, ist natürlich wirklich eine große Ehre, auch mit den Leuten zusammen zu sein, auch die Inputs zu hören, die dann aus dem Feld kommen, aus ganz verschiedenen Firmen, von Menschen aus ganz verschiedenen Ländern, die sich auch alle in irgendeiner Weise für die Sterne interessieren, auch wenn sie das vielleicht nicht so verstehen, aber es ist so ein Spirit da. Und das finde ich total klasse, weil dieses Auftreibende, dieses Uplifting, das ist ein unglaublich schönes Gefühl zu wissen, ja, die Astrologie als solches, als Thema, als Subject ist etwas, was immer mehr einsickert, auch in die Corporate World, auch in die Businesswelt, zu den Menschen, die Entscheidungen zu treffen haben.
We're all set.
The main reason for me to come is to reconnect with the inspiration and what would I say, the vibration here among these people, and mainly women. And the way Kristin Engvig sets it up is that we unleash our intuition and our broader views on what we're doing, that we stay connected and come into connection with our heart. So for me to come to a place like this is different. It feels like a warm blanket, because at work we're so often asked, to do things very linear. Whereas as this is a very different platform. I also, for WIN, for me is an inspiration to connect what we individually do with larger groups as well as with the greater whole.
WIN Conference is all about networking, sharing experiences, learn from each other, sharing experiences, and the most important thing, we in Cameroon have most of our funds comes from people we meet at the WIN Conference, because what we are doing in Cameroon is really to try to inspire women, empower them to dare and achieve. And we got all those motivation, all those new vision, new opportunities through this WIN Conference. So this year, as I'm going back to Cameroon, I will organize another WIN Conference in Cameroon to try to share what I learned here with others, women in my country that don't have the opportunity to travel to Europe. So WIN Conference is something that really changed my life.
I really feel that the change that's needed in the world is going to come through many different vehicles, but one is definitely rising women. And I have a very strong focus on the economic empowerment of women. And WIN has been about women for many, many years. So I'm here because I'm aligned with the values of WIN, and I respect and admire the work that Kristin has done for so many years. And it's an opportunity for women to come together, collaborate, co-create, and new ideas and projects and support comes through this kind of collaboration.
Ja, ich finde das sehr wichtig, dass man sich um sowohl Frauen in führenden Positionen, aber auch um das Feminine und Maskuline kümmert und beschäftigt und auseinandersetzt und versteht, was das ist für einen selber, für Organisationen, für die Gesellschaft. Wir müssen einfach diese Fragen wirklich mal tiefer anschauen und nicht nur so oberflächlich. Und das geschieht hier und das finde ich sehr hilfreich.
Silke, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kristin, and thank you all. The higher we. This is the next step. We are already preparing now. Thank you so much. Have you ever been in the desert at night? So I would say, please send all your employees once a year to the desert, because because all the thoughts, everything faded away, and I stood in this amazing light. I never ever experienced that before. And this was an absolutely turning point within my life. I look from the point of energy, and that what follows is the form. It's always the energy, it's the first step. And the form, what we are doing, what we are practicing, of if we go this or that way, this is our own decision for the next step of human mankind, because everything is moving. Everything is moving. And the way the planets move is an extraordinary time when we look ahead, what is coming up. Now we do here the preparation. And the pandemic was the preparation for a completely new air and fire energy for the next years. And so what does it mean? When Pluto shifts into the Aquarian sign, this begins the beginning of gigantic networking. And I'm so happy, Kristin, that you did this work, this wonderful work for the last 25 years, because now it starts for the mass. And you're as a pioneer, you prepared this. We go to the higher we come together as one. All the communities, you know what communities are? Communities are come together as like-minded people, and this will be the new paradigm of the new time. And when Neptune starts to come into Aries, this is a complete new way of accelerating spiritual development. Spirituality becomes normal. So
I'm very excited about this when you see that the love aspect, the spiritual aspect, becomes more and more also part of companies and also between people. Then we really start to communicate with telepathy. New ways of communication between man and woman, mankind, all around the world, but also in outer space will start, and we will have new, big visions for the future. And the whole technology will speed up. We have no idea how much this will accelerate. So be prepared, embody the spiritual aspect. So are you ready as a spiritual leader to create a new world of cooperation with a lot of technology, but as well with a lot of spiritual, grounded information? I think this is one of the most important challenges at the moment. Also, the pandemic showed us it's now about to make a kind of a choice. Which timeline do you want to manifest? Or do you choose the other part, the other way? It's a love aspect. It's knowledge, it's abundance. Yes, and it's peace and love. You bring it into the system. Find out what kind of decision you want to make now, because you know the rule, the cosmic rule of cause and effect. Find out the right causes. Set a clear, very clear intentions, because the frequencies are getting faster. But next year, in July 2023, the North Node will shift to a sign of Aries, and Aries is not only warrior energy, but it's spiritual energy, spiritual warrior energy, that we can start to create completely new world. That means for us, stay grounded, stay always grounded, stay within your body. And then you can play the music of the stars within your body and bring it together in a world of nature. And this is nothing new, but this will become very, very, very important. And those who will transport this is the new generation of the new millennium. They were all born at the beginning of 1991, 1992. And these young people have possibilities we never ever had. And we have here new groups of from South Korea, BTS, or here Ed Sheeran, 5 billion views on one video. They're talking to so many people. This is completely new, different consciousness. Here, Kylie Jenner, she is first America's billionaire at the age of 22. We have no idea what these young people will create in the future. And they are those who will shape the new future. So please beware and hold this space for these young people, because I tell you what, we can count them when they were born, especially those who are in shape of this Aquarian subject. They are 2,210,000,000 young people. At the moment, they are aged 10 to 26. They will tear us into their future. So, and they will not seeking for status anymore like we, but they will improve the world with new ideas. So I invite you to move together to a new dimension, and we all are prepared for this. Thank you.
All of you.
Thanks,
It was a
Thank
pleasure
you for
having you.
all your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hard work for 25
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A miracle.
But as was just mentioned, it's a system, so we are all part of it. So also big thank you to all of you that are here, because without participation. You can speak German. You're German, both of you, no?
Yes,
Deutsch sprechen. Aber dann ich
I just came here to feel the spirit of unitedness and to learn, to share, and to contribute as much as I can, and to breathe the environment. And this is, I feel expanded now. It's very personal, deep. I feel more grounded. I remember my roots, and I remember my power and the power of feminine spirit and power of being together, oneness, unitedness. So that's how I could summarize it.
I love astrology. I'm Indian, so I grew up with astrology. I have a father who super believes in it and so on. And I do believe in astrology because I feel it's a bit arrogant to say that as a human being, we know everything just based on our sciences and our brains. And, I'm a biotechnologist, so I do get the science bit, but then even science only has limited answers, right? So I think sort of trusting the universe and the process and sort of looking up now and then, like Silke said, send your employees to the desert, she said, which I thought was so cool. It's true. The first thing I do when I go out in the night, when there's a clear night, I look up. I look at the stars. I think when you look at the stars, you just have a different perspective to life. You just realize that you are absolutely insignificant on this planet, like a speck of dust compared to the galaxies, right? And that, I think, helps you to sort of break your barriers and go beyond. And I feel what astrology does is sort of put meaning into those movements and help you understand it, navigate it, You don't have to believe it, but sometimes I find it's okay to listen to it and say, okay, so it's the Mercury retrograde, okay, it's the Saturn cycle, okay, So just to breathe and relax and just move on in your journey. So, yeah.
So, here's my workshop. Do you join me? We can change it. I will help you. But let us first prepare these. Here is the AGMI. Here we are. It's going. It's working. Wonderful. So a big, we have no idea how many people will come.
Welcome. This is the first series of workshop at WIN, and I welcome you all, especially to Silke Schäfer. And the title of this workshop is Preparing for the Future, and a conversation with an astrologer. And she's a great astrologer in Germany, but also without, other countries. And she has a big YouTube channel, which has about 160 followers.
1,000.
160,000 followers. And but are streamed like 400,000, 500,000. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you very, very much. It's a real honor to have you here. And my idea for today, for this workshop, is not an interactive workshop that we have to make here some strange things. But you see, it's always the challenge for me to bring the whole universe into a 15 minutes speech. You see? And because there would be so many things to say or to talk about, to explain. And I would love to open this space for discussion. That's why I called it Conversation with an Astrologer. So it's like you can ask anything that you want, and I have the presentation I showed you right now in the conference room here, and we can deepen things which you are interested in, and we have a personal way of our own personality, and we have a collective way that we go all together. And I love to talk about the collective way, because the shift, as you saw the blue triangle, this shift is about the collective is shifting, and that's why we call it here preparing for the future. It's not that we have to wait for the future. Never ever wait, because the future is always happening now. Especially the learning system in school is very, very old-fashioned. You know that we are trained to be prepared for the war. We had to obey. Yes, and we had to be then, and then at school we have to eat all together at the same time, our bread in the morning, and to make a test at 7 o'clock in the morning. But it's absolutely not possible for our biological clock and so on. And they start to change our system. And so one item for preparing the future, from my perspective, is be aware of the youngest.
We need to open people up and recognise that we're all connected and that children are our future. We need to listen to those children calling from the future and change now. Celebrate their curiosity, celebrate their psychic abilities. And as we become more telepathic, I think we will actually become more evolved so that we don't hurt people because we can see who they are straight away. I believe that if you stay connected to the light, it eventually sorts itself out. The main thing is love, loving kindness. Implant that in everything you do and you won't go far wrong. I think where we coincide is if you say that everything is an energy field. It is a scalar energy field. Therefore, it's not unreasonable to assume that planets have an influence on us, just as the stars do.
I think astrology can help you because it gives you a chance to, one, if you do astrology looking at your own chart, it can just help you reinforce a bit who you are. And it can, if it's new for you, can initiate you, I think, also on your more inner path. And if you've been on your inner path for a longer time, it just keeps helping you reinforce what you're doing. And when it comes to then looking at the larger picture, using astrology to see the energies that are coming from the planets and the stars, let's say, that can help you also get an orientation.
I think I redefined my relationship to the stars based on the talk you gave and the workshop I attended. And I've always been interested in astrology, but much more from a personal perspective. And I really loved how you brought to the forefront how it involves us all in a much bigger way, not only myself, but our community, our global future, and even beyond, like you said, the universe as well. So it broadened my perspective a lot, and it sort of merged really well for me with my own conviction that we need to have firm ground to stand on and a legacy. And I think you really expanded on that for me, to look beyond my history but look forward, and that the stars can help us with that and can give us confidence not only but also be a compass for the future. And it can be a focal point not only to give us trust that we know the stars will do what they're going to do but that we can prepare ourselves what's going to happen. And you explained that so eloquently and drove that really home. So it gave me a lot of trust and reassurance and a new perspective on the stars and astrology.
Well, it feels like we're waking up to our multidimensionality and understanding that we are multidimensional. So we do have our own personal experience, and then we have our collective experience, and being able to dance between those dimensions is what we're sort of waking up to as a possibility, a new creativity, a new creative possibility. I think it all has to do with attitude about the future. So the sort of mainstream or sort of street level consciousness is a lot of fear about the future. And so usually things show up as a reflection of how we are conceiving it, how we are thinking about it. So by imagining better about the future and taking responsibility to really imagine better, to be more creative in my thinking about the future, and to be part of that possibility beyond what we're just fed, which is really not palatable.
ask everybody to be as open as they possibly can and to catch themselves if they have any judgments, to be quick to contribute, so share, and also be very sort of good at connecting, which means not just sharing about your job, but also what you're passionate about, your head and your heart and your belly, and to commit. So if you say, I'm going to help you with something, you help, you stick to it. So you are a person of integrity and of good value. And then we also say that never accept unacceptable behavior. So also you want to learn to set limits if something happens that's not good for you. You have to take some risk though, and to have a lot of fun. And then there is a very important one that we said, like, to everybody, expect magic. Expect it. Something wonderful that you don't know about yet can happen to you any moment, any second, any day.
Je suis en train de me préparer pour ma présentation demain. Et ce qui me plaît énormément avec WIN, c'est que ce sont des femmes du monde entier qui sont tous super engagées, toutes tellement différentes, mais très actives et qui veulent quelque part changer le monde, changer l'espoir. L'énergie féminine, pour moi, c'est l'espoir du futur, dans le sens que notre énergie féminine, je parle de l'intuition, je parle de la magie, je parle de toutes les choses qui au fait ont été sous-pressées, peut-être aussi les pouvoirs paranormaux. C'est quelque chose qui sont seulement acceptés par une certaine population, or que c'est pour moi quelque chose de très réel. Et j'estime que WIN ouvre toutes ces portes et c'est très important de soutenir nos sœurs et être tous ensemble et rêver et de créer le futur.
Diese Möglichkeit, auch wenn es nur 15 Minuten sind, ins Feld zu sprechen, es gibt einen Impact. Ein Samen, der gesetzt wird, die Perspektive etwas mehr zu erweitern, dass da ja noch viel mehr ist zwischen Himmel und Erde, als so in der Businesswelt zählt. Und da bin ich sehr, sehr dankbar, dass ich hier einen kleinen Input geben durfte.